Hello everyone, Lisa here, What's Crafting Wednesday. Tonight we're going to be making a fall themed side flap card. But first, let's get into our drawing from last week. I have the landscape oriented Christmas side flap cards, and there are 3 of them due to my Facebook mishap. So tonight's lucky winner will get 3 cards. And I'm just going to put my names in here. And by the way, I took Jennifer's advice and I did tape my bag. So hopefully it will continue to hold up. All right, let me just give this a little more mixing and then choose our lucky winner. Okay, I have 1 ticket there. I have 1 ticket, and oh, I have 2 tickets. Let me drop them back in and shake them again. Is that 1 ticket? Feels like 1 ticket. Okay, and I have Wendy. Well, congratulations, Wendy. I will get those off to you. Okay, so last week we did the landscape oriented side flap card. So this week we're going to do a portrait landscape card, portrait side flap card. And I did it in these rich fall colors, and I left it sentiment free. This is Cajun Craze, Mossy Meadow, very vanilla, and the DSP is Rustic Harvest, and this is from the holiday mini catalog. Okay, so let's get started. We will be using the Jar of Flowers stamp set and Pool Party, Mossy Meadow, and Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I have a bunch of blends that we'll be using for coloring. And let's just jump right in and get started. I'll put that off to the side there. I do have the measurements here. And as always, after Facebook Live, I will go back into my Facebook page and edit so that all the measurements are in print underneath the post. So we have a very vanilla envelope. And now the measurements are different from last week's card because we're going portrait rather than landscape. So our Mossy Meadow is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to score this at 3 1/4. I'll just leave that there. Just drop something. I did. I dropped a piece of the DSP. The card base is Cajun Craze, and this is the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And for the inside of the card, I have very vanilla 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And I have a piece of very vanilla for stamping, and that is 2 1/2 by 4. And these front pieces where you stamp and mat, they can be any size. I just measured this so that the size would accommodate the image that I was using. But you could make your image or sentiment piece any size that you would like on the front of the card. And then I have DSP, and this is 3 by 5 and 1 by 5 and 3/4 by 1 3/4. And this is our side flap piece, and it is 2 by 4 1/4. And I made it a little thicker this week just because it's going to hold a larger piece here. Just bring in one of last week's cards. See, this was a much smaller piece going on the flap, So I think I did 1¼ inches last week, but I made this one 2 inches this week. And again, we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. All right, now get this here out of the way and just fold on our score lines. Okay. And full disclosure, I made a mistake measuring when I assembled my sample, and I didn't want to make a new one, so we don't have a full border around here, but it's still a beautiful card. And I hope you can see because I did use Wink of Stella. Okay, so let's get started. We might as well do the stamping first. Now we'll be doing a little masking today also. So if you don't know what masking is, today you will see it in action. And if you have masked before, it'll just be a little refresher for you. So since this is a smaller pad and this is a larger image, I'm going to take the ink pad to the stamp and give it some good coverage here. And as you can see, I have it just fitting perfectly on my piece I cut here. So I will stamp this, and I'm sorry if I get my head in, but I'm going to stamp this up close to the top. Okay. And then I'm going to mask it in order to stamp the jar and the stems. So I use this on the sample. It's just a Post-it note that I stamped the image, and I just cut around the bottom so that I could put it right over here and mask that. And now I will ink up the jar. And the reason for this is so that you can stamp the jar and the flowers are coming over the top of the jar. And just make sure my jar is somewhat straight. And then we will also do the stems. And those are in Mossy Meadow. Well, I actually think I stamped them in, I did. No, I stamped them in Mossy Meadow. And I colored them in Mossy Meadow also. Okay, so it's going to go right over my mask here. And then when I peel this off, then you can see the flowers coming over the jar. And last thing is to stamp the water. And with this, I did stamp off because I didn't want it to be too dark. And now we have the fun coloring. I'm using blends. It's going to be very quick. Yes, I'm going to use the light Mossy Meadow, and I'm just going to quickly just go over the stems just to get a little bit of color on them, because we don't want to have hollow stems, right? And I'm not blending or anything. I'm just adding the color to the stems. That's it for that. And then up here, I just added a little bit of color just to these here. Just add a little bit of green here. And over here. Okay. And for the sunflowers, this here is the bronze blend. Very pretty color. So I'm just going to go in the center of the flowers. And then over here, I don't know what that's called there, but we're going to color that brown also. And then I have some Cajun Craze here. Is this the Cajun Craze? Yes, it is. So I'm going to add just a little bit of this at the start of the sunflowers. And then I'm going to go and color the petals in soft, wrong side, in soft saffron. And it's the darker soft saffron. Okay. I don't know about you, but I just love sunflowers. They're so pretty. Now on my sample, I used pumpkin pie for the centers of the sunflowers here. And then on the envelope, I accidentally used Cajun Craze, and I thought it looked nicer. It was more vibrant. So this one, I decided to go with the Cajun Craze also. And one more sunflower. Just adding just this little bit of color here. You don't want your sunflower to be all yellow. Very pretty. And oh, I forgot some green up here. Here we'll add a little bit of dark, just a little bit down here. And then we'll add the lighter Mossy Meadow. Okay, and then we just have these little flowers here left. So I'm going to use the light Cajun Craze just on these little flowers here and here. And a little more green around there. Okay. And then for this flower here, I'm going to put the dark pumpkin pie in the center. And then add the light pumpkin pie outside. And I think I'm just going to go back in here with some light Cajun Craze. Okay, that is it, my friends, for some quick coloring. And then, of course, I used Wink of Stella. And I just put that in the center of the sunflowers. And on those dots there, and just brought it out a little bit into the petals where I colored them dark. In the center there. And these little marks on the jar, I just added a little bit of Wink of Stella there as well. Okay. So now it is assembly time for the card. So this will mat onto this Mossy Meadow layer. I thought that one was empty or near empty. Really, it's just like last week's card, just different dimensions for the card. And last week I just did a sentiment on the front, and this week I went with a stamped image. Now we'll add our DSP. You know, I really am a summer person, but I do love the rich colors of fall. And I'll tell you, today really felt like a fall day here. As you can see, I'm wearing long sleeves. And for the side flap mechanism, you put adhesive first on the inside of the tab. And just eye it so that it is, as best as you can, centered on the card. And then we mount this to the card base, which is Cajun Craze. And if you wanted, you could use tear and tape on your little mechanism here. And just layer it nicely in the center, which I did not do on the sample. And again, my little trick that I showed last week, so that you don't put adhesive, get any extra adhesive on your flap. I just put this down here so I can see how far over it's going. And then I add the adhesive on the flap. And don't go all the way to the edge because you don't want it to seep out. And center it as best as you can on the card. And now we have inside piece, so we're going to add the strip of DSP along the right edge. And again, I mixed the patterns again. I did the stripes crossways, and then a little flap, they are going vertically. And I either cut my DSP too short or my Very Vanilla too long. My Very Vanilla too long. All right, so that can easily be fixed. I'll just trim off this excess here. See, isn't it fun when I have my little mishaps? And now I have the right size. Let me see what size this, oh, these don't have markings on it. I will verify that I have the right size written down there before I add it to my post. And then we just add this little strip along here. And there is our portrait-oriented side flap card. So now we just have the envelope left to do. Here's my envelope, and I stamped it again with the Memento Tuxedo Black, but I didn't put the whole image on the envelope. And I angled it a little also. And we will just quickly color this. And as a little tip, I've shared this before, but just as a refresher, when you color with blends, it does bleed not always, but it can bleed through your paper when you're coloring. I don't know if you noticed when I flipped this over to apply the adhesive that you could see the blends had bled through. So that doesn't happen with your envelope and bleed through to the other side. I'd always take just a piece of copy paper and I put inside the envelope while I color with blends on the envelope. So if it does go through it all, it bleeds onto the paper first and saves your envelope. So we'll just do some quick coloring here. It's not as much as there was on the card. And you know, doesn't have to be perfect. And with the blends, just you don't always have to go out to the edge because it does tend to bleed a little. So if you keep your coloring inside, then as it bleeds out a little, it won't extend beyond your image. And I am not a coloring professional, as you can see. So you don't have to be a coloring professional. And just add some greenery in here. And up here. And then just a little bit of, I'll take the lighter one, a little bit of color on these flowers here. And I think I will also go up on the stem, use this side. And the only thing left is the wink of Stella. I'll tell you, this little wink of Stella is one of the best inventions. I rank it up there with the Stamparatus. You can just so quickly add some glimmer to your card making. Dries instantly as it's alcohol based, so you don't have to worry about glitter and glue drying. It doesn't cost very much, and it lasts a long time. Okay, my crafty friends, so here is the card. Open, sentiment free, so next week's lucky winner can use this card for whatever they like. I can picture it being a nice Thanksgiving card, a fall birthday card, just a fall hello card. All right, my crafty friends, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Leave those comments. You know I love to read them, and of course you want to get in on the drawing for next week, so you have the opportunity to win these 2 cards. Now, I don't know if you can see on camera the difference. My sample here, I used the pumpkin pie, and in tonight's card, I used the Cajun Craze. So this is a little more vibrant. If you can see the difference and you'd like to comment and let me know which you like better, please do. I'm kind of thinking I like the Cajun Craze one because the sunflowers are much more vibrant. But tell me your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know if you've gotten this new harvest paper yet. Some very pretty patterns in it. There's leaves and pumpkins and just prints like I've used tonight. All right, everyone, I wish you a very nice and crafty week. I think our next Facebook we'll do a craft along. We haven't done a craft along in a while, so I think next time it will be a craft along. So stay tuned for the details on that. And I will see you on my next Facebook. Bye, everyone.